working very well, is supporting process on public creativity nationally. So it's just a context and tell them about the approach.
Yes, maybe we can know some more afterwards.
Okay, then thank you again. Our next speaker for Marne, from Paris, from the University here in Italy, and we will talk about the 6 phases of theory design. To hear why we have 6 phases and better of things to the slide. So,
how do you put the geometry? How do you put the screen? 5, yes, it's just. I want to have the notes on the screen.
I have no idea, so we have to done it before, I think.
There, but
okay, that's one.
I'm going to present you some work of the MOCA team of the Leipzig lab introduced nicely by you about methodological tools to build serious games. I've been involved in several serious game design projects, and what we've seen has been already told by Florent at the previous talk, is that it's about collaboration of many types of experts. Indeed, we can probably group these experts in 2 kinds of fields. On one hand, you have the pedagogical experts, and when I say pedagogical experts, I mean both teachers, trainers, but also knowledge engineers, domain specialists, and so on. And on the other hand, there is the game design experts, of course, game designers or level designers, but also story writers or multimedia artists, and so on. Of course, they've got different skills. Also, you can see on this diagram a field of expertise overlap. And for instance, pedagogical experts' goal is to teach, and one of the best means to teach is to motivate the students. We call it engage. In the game design experts, one of the goals is to engage the players when they are playing, and one of the main goals, one of the best means to do so is to make them progress in the game, to improve their competencies. So, as you can see, both experts know how to teach and know how to engage and motivate. But still, they have different points of view, different means, and different methods. So, our special contribution is to help them work together with the common goal of fun and pedagogy in the science game design. First, I will present to you our research question. And second, I will show you our conceptual framework and the 6 game design to help people to collaborate. Then I will show you the design pattern library we've built within this conceptual framework. After the discussion and the presentation of our future work, I will be asking to you our conclusion. The main issue, as I said before, as Florent said, the main issue of science game design is to make several types of experts collaborate and to work together at all the places. For instance, how to help the pedagogical experts to understand the aims, means, and the methods of the game experts, vice versa. Which brings us to how to help both stakeholders to speak the same language during the design of a science game. We have built a conceptual framework to help people to work together, and it's called the six facets of science. I'm going to. So the six facets of science game framework aims to analyze the science game during the design phases, so to help to improve the design process, or after the design process, to extract some new design patterns. I will go into design patterns later. The framework is structured around the main aspects of the science game design, which we call facets, because there are six. And so the facets are defined by three items. The first, the common problem issue. The second is the solution, and is the type of expert involved. I'm going to rapidly take you through facets. There's no particular order in the facets, but this one should be the first. When people are designing a science game, they must first question the stakeholders about what kind of pedagogical goal they have, what they want to teach. So they can build a knowledge, including the educational objectives and the common misconceptions. Knowledge model will be the basis for the further design in the science game. The next facet raises a slightly difficult question: how to respond consistently and correctly to the actions of the player in the game. Because, you know, in a science game, responses to the actions of the player mustn't be consistent with the domain you want to teach. So we suggest to ensure consistency to make to build a simulation based on a formal model of the domain. But you cannot to manage simulation parameters directly. It won't be fun at all. So to stay fun, you must build an interface between the player and the simulation, so that the player will be acting on the simulation through the game. This is what this facet is about: interactions with the simulation. And while making creating this simulation, you are creating also what Fabricator called an intrinsic metaphor. An intrinsic metaphor is something which can make your game as a virtual environment and a gaming experience in which the content that we want to teach can be naturally embedded in different contextual rhythms in terms of gameplay. And that is what we are trying to do when we are trying to do science games. To strengthen this intrinsic metaphor, you must also deal with another facet, which is problem solution. Students and players are usually faced with challenge in games and in training. But game design, we must harmoniously combine the learning aspect of these challenges in order to make pleasant and useful learning. So in this facet, we are going to see this after a while. In this facet, both type of experts must work together in order to combine these two acts. Another important topic on this passage is to give to the player. Exploration is a necessity because he needs to engage the player and also give some useful feedback about his learning to the teacher. The mirror is another important aspect, very important aspect to engage the player. It covers all the fun and multimedia aspects of the game that are not related to the stimulation I told before. Before I said it is stimulation, but again, there could be many elements non-related to the simulation. This can be, for instance, a nice presentation, it can be a nice resources, it can be the shape, or it can also be some instructions, but not related to the simulation. For instance, a dialogue with a non-player character could be in the middle. The last aspect I'm showing here is how the game is going to be played. When I say how, I mean where. At home, I also mean with whom, alone, with teammates, or with or without an instructor. I also mean how long and when. 1 hour every day, or just a one-shot session lasting a few minutes only. These questions may arise during serious game design. In this picture, you can see that every facet has a dedicated specialist. The school icon is for the pedagogical experts, and of course the game pad is for game design. You can see that there is a facet with both expertise needed. This facet, I told you before, is one of the main bases of the intrinsic metaphor. So we must work together in this facet. But in fact, both experts must work together in every facet. When I said dedicated specialist, I meant this is the main specialist. But all skills are needed in each facet. So how to help a non-expert to work with the expert, to understand their language, their methods, and their goals. This is very difficult, and we are going to use a tool to help them to speak the same language, to be on the same wavelength, to have the common goals of the other experts to work together. This is the design pattern library we choose to use. Explanation about design pattern library. The design patterns are a kind of formal language which can help people to work together. For instance, I can use design patterns to help several people to collaborate, to use best practices, and to talk about the domain of architecture. We are trying to do the same thing with serious game. So we want to build, we have a design pattern library, which is a set of best practices in serious game. When I say best, I should say good practices, because it's very difficult to extract the best one, not so much serious game. Okay. There is it's also lexical, the language, people to communicate together. Since Alexander, there were very much work on design patterns, but not so much serious game. Indeed, not so much at all. So we had to grasp on various research domains such as theory or video games to extract some design patterns. We were looking for reusable design patterns from serious games, and we were looking for organizing them in our conception of the 6 facets I showed you before. So we used performance research and with several steps. Our first step, as I told, was looking for design patterns in other work, and we found some reusable ones, particularly in a key network and finance work. We also made an in-depth analysis of several serious game documents, design documents, provided by our partner companies. Then finally we made the presentation with several serious game designers, and then an analysis of 20 successful serious games. And we built up our 42 design pattern library. Actually, currently it's 42, but it's growing because we made it cooperative. I'm going to show you a couple of examples of design patterns. The first one, refine knowledge, and it belongs to the fourth step, problems and progression. You know, the main facet of the scientific metaphor. As you are going to see, design patterns are defined by several items, such as a context, a product, some forces involved, but also you can see it on the slide, because I split into slides, the solution, of course, and also examples and related design patterns. So if you deal with science game design with a variety of knowledge and competencies, you may face the problem of how to make a player aware of this progression. And to do so, we are proposing a solution in this pattern that is represent items of knowledge and skills with objects. This object could be collected by the player. It's both appealing for the player and pedagogically useful because we have here a screenshot of American Army trophy room. We can see on the trophy room what the player has made. There is several examples of serious game with trophy rooms and refined knowledge. And there is a related pattern also, which is object collection. You can see that as often as we will cite patterns, we will put them in italics. Another design pattern I want to show you is related to another facet, interactions with the simulation. The pattern is time for play, time for thought. This pattern is used when you are dealing with high knowledge content to give to the player, but also with fun interaction. It's difficult to provide knowledge and to help the player to learn while he's on growth, in a very heavy instructions. So what we are proposing here is to split the game into 2 phases. On one hand, you get some intensive action phases for the practice and the training. There are several serious game design patterns you can use to help you to make these phases. On the other hand, there is the reflective phases for thought and recognition. And there are also several design patterns. Usually, serious games use debriefing, for instance, between action phases. It's the case of Self-Craft, you may know, and also French serious game and Ludivine. And because the kind of serious game using split, it's the tower defense maybe you know this kind of game, where difference is a two faces game, one face is where you play defense, and one face is of action where you interactively can modify your defense. And there is several games using the tower defense type, such as a French game Défense immunitaire, or another I didn't put here, named Le Jardinier Écolo. There are several patterns related to this one, as you can see. I can use design patterns, but there are several ones, 40 other design patterns I cannot present to you, and it may be too small for you to read. But nevertheless, you can find them online because we made our design pattern library online. And you can see them, but you can also comment on them, vote for them. Our goal is to build a community around the design patterns and to help this community to evaluate the patterns and even to make some more design patterns. And you are welcome to join this community. So it was very difficult, and it still is very difficult aspect of design pattern library. As often as we can, we presented the design pattern, and also we tested these people to have some qualitative insights. And I'm going to show you a discussion about it. On one hand, we tested the design pattern library with several students from the game school, French game school, and engineering. And they were we presented the design pattern. Then they had been interviewed, they had to fill in a questionnaire. Our results with these students were not that good. In fact, at the moment we made this study, most of our library came design pattern. So as the students were experts already on design, they didn't need any design pattern on design. But there were a few design patterns about pedagogical aspects, and they were very interested in them and asked for more. On the other hand, the design pattern library was intensively tested with two teachers willing to use the design game. So we had to build some service. And on the contrary, they were very interested in our library because there were of design pattern on game design aspects. As they were not experts of game design, they needed this. They gave them solution of gameplay to pedagogical problems. So students and teachers were very interested in design patterns, in other skills than their hands. So we deduced that our design pattern library is a tool to help people to understand the means and the methods of one another. So we tested the design pattern library in a collaborative service game design. And we saw that it helped the game designer to understand some pedagogical needs and some pedagogical methods they didn't have before. And the service game made was really better than what was prototyped before we involved the design pattern in the design. We are also conducting a community evaluation through our online library. As I said, you can comment on, you can vote on it. But you know, we need some quantitative data to go further in our evaluation. And we are willing to first analyze the logs of our library. But we don't have enough visitors yet, so we hope that this conference will attract an interest, and so we can have some logs and to analyze. We are also in the very early stage of building a new evaluation tool. This evaluation tool is based on typology we made for Swallow game. This typology measures balances and is based on facets. To explain this, you have this picture. On this picture, you can see that the scales here are the balances for each of the facets. The blue triangles show the measure of the balance for each facet. For instance, you have here a typical TDL system. In a TDL system, usually you try to define as much as you can the pedagogical aspect. So you can see that the balance of the definition of the pedagogical aspect is toward the pole of the pedagogical aspect. On the other hand, in a TDL system, you don't need to define. So usually you don't have a front interface with the simulation. So you see that the balance is toward the dice pole at the opposite of this pole. Sure, you can see a Chinese game is an intrinsic metaphor type. In this type, you see that we need a front interface with the simulation, so the balance is toward the front interface pole. Okay. What we want to do with this typology is to measure the type of the game that have been specified very early in the development, in the design. Then we want to measure the type at the end of the design of the game. And we want to compare the initial type and the final type of game made with our library and without our library. What we have learned about our design pattern library? First, we have learned that our library helps people to understand the aims, the needs, and the methods of each other. In that, we have seen it, for instance, with the two teachers willing to design this game, and it helped them. On the other hand, we have seen that our library is lacking of pedagogically oriented design patterns. So to grow our library, we made it collaborative on a website where users like you can vote and comment on our design pattern library, translate some design pattern library, and if you want to be involved deeper in the community, you can even modify or create design pattern library. So here is the address, and you're welcome to visit the site, and thank you very much for your attention.
And I wonder how to use them. So the use examples from a game, and for this game, we have more just like orientation framework for the game.
Examples. You can see on this one, it's in French, sorry. This is the pedagogical made for a serious game named Donjon et Radon, as a Dungeon and Dragon instead of Dragon. A game about the state of the matter and the state of the water. We had to work on the design of this serious game, and as I said before, at first in this collaborative serious game, people were involved, but the game designer was doing what he wanted. He's now taking care about pedagogical issues. So when we came in the consortium, we said, so we have some design patterns that will help to build the game. And we gave us a few design patterns about pedagogical methods and about the method to build a knowledge model. So this knowledge model was built with teachers and experts and was used in the game. Yeah. On the other slide, there's another example with the same game. This is the common model we use for the simulation of the game. You maybe remember this if you had a scientific course in summer school. This is the three states of matter diagram. And in this diagram, you can see, depending on the pressure, the volume, and the temperature, the water is liquid. So looking at this exact picture in our simulation, and it helped us because first the game designer has made a prototype, and there were many mistakes in the prototype. Many situations where these scripts weren't working correctly and consistently with the domain. And so the domain specialists were very worried about the game and don't want the game to be used with students because there were mistakes. So our system of patterns, and it helped them to build the simulation, and then the game was consistent, and everyone was happy.
It seems like the methods that can describe several categories of games, and then design patterns that apply to each facet kind of independently. But to me, it looks like probably maybe not all games can be covered meeting these six facets, and also mostly design patterns are not so independent. You cannot just choose one design pattern on one level. You ignore your preference on the other pattern. Probably design patterns are they are interdependent. And I was wondering whether you consider this first question. Second question, I would like to look at your pattern. Do you also cite in English?
It's half in English, half in French. If you have a menu. On to your first question. You cannot draw a border. The border is blurry between facets because it's the same object in the center with the dice. It's the serious game design, so it's the same object. So there is not a real border between facets. This is the first aspect of my answer. The second aspect of my answer is that why we organized the design pattern in our facet is to help people to find the design pattern when they need it. During the design process, the designers have to ask them, on what facet are we working today? On what facets are we working today? Because they work on the facets. And then, if they have problems, they can go to the design pattern library and look for the right answer to their question. But not always. Sometimes it's only some example to talk about what we are going to do. It's design patterns as Alexander was saying them, which a method to communicate, items of intelligence to help people to talk together about